Finally, after 6 years, the sequel to Breath of the Wild is here. Was the 6-year wait worth it? There is a slight issue, but I'll get to that when I get to that. First, if you played Tears' predecessor, you'll notice a lot of the basics like movement, paragliding, combat moves, that all being largely the same, but with changes slightly or completely reworked. Take the Sheikah runes, for example. Gone are Cryonis, bombs, and the other special abilities you get all at once in Breath of the Wild's early game. Instead are a new set of abilities, all based around crafting, repairing, upgrading, and creating many different things, including hot air balloons to even airplanes, or anything you can think of, really. Instead of having bombs or a way to cross any and every pond and lake with Cryonis, you have to rely on crafting weapons that can break rocks with fuse, find bombs, craft bomb arrows, or make a boat with Ultra Hand and swim if you have enough stamina to reach whatever it is you're trying to reach. Yeah, I said make a boat and airplane, and with all the different kinds of Zonai devices and objects that you can use Ultra Hand, Magnesis, but better on, you can just build about anything as long as you have the required items, or have enough Zonai to substitute items or objects you don't have with the auto-build ability. Auto-build makes building things a breeze. If you built it previously, you can favorite it, so you don't have to rebuild it each time. Although I found myself doing that still anyway, because it's just so fun to add so many fans to a bird plane. And the only item that is limited is the battery, which can be upgraded for longer operation times, meaning as long as you have the inventory items and resources, you can build it. No longer do you hoard items as much, if at all, due to the durability of weapons and constant enemy loot drops. This vastly improves the changes to gameplay loop to differentiate itself from its previous iteration. And one of the best changes is the champion's abilities being completely reworked into actual AI followers that follow you in the overworld, that each also have their own special abilities that you can use for yourself. You have to unlock them though by journeying to each region and completing each mission that the main quest gives, however, which is a great reward. And if you recall, the shrines from the first iteration, they return, but some require you to get far enough in the main story to get abilities to solve them in the overworld. Sometimes it's simple, get this rock to the shrine. Yeah, the Zelda team reused many mechanics established, but expanded and enhanced what they could be, like Korok puzzles. Which leads me to my next point. The map. And sometimes it feels as if I'm exploring Hyrule again for the first time, even though I already played the previous game recently, and back in 2017 when it first came out. Things have changed in Hyrule, like Death Mountain having all the old flowing lava stop and harden, making whole new areas to explore that feels completely fresh. Add on top of that the Sky Islands, explorable caves, wells, and a full underground area called the Depths. This makes Hyrule this time around just seem absolutely massive in comparison to the Breath of the Wild's Hyrule overworld. And those caves and wells aren't small either. They can be, sure, but sometimes they are long and complex. I'll get lost in just exploring another cave I randomly found instead of going to my destination I set an hour ago. The sense of wonder is here, something I was worried about like many of us before launch. Speaking of which, the enemies. Bosses return but utilize the new hand abilities and even stage abilities quite well, and I would say are a very welcome addition to the game. Normal enemies have new parts, and even the old returning monster parts are also more useful thanks to this crafting system. There's even a greater variety of enemy types this time around, as well from the Sky Islands above to the depths beneath Hyrule in the darkness. Some enemies are covered in gloom, or what we knew as malice before, and if you're hit, you lose an actual heart that must be regained through a shrine or eating an elixir that is specific to game Broken Heart's back, making combat a bit tougher as a result on top of other changes I already explained. This makes combat feel fresh if very similar to its predecessor's combat. Which brings me to how the game's main story is structured, or at least the first half. The game opens up mostly as a tutorial on how to move Link and control the camera as in-game dialogue plays out in conjunction with cutscenes. This doesn't last long as you're soon waking up in the sky. You then have to complete 3 shrines, watch a cutscene, get to the last shrine, then go to the surface, and then you have to go to each region in any way you want, like Breath of the Wild. But the game softly guides you towards the upper left of the map. It'll also suggest you go underground as you play, but it ultimately lets you do whatever you want just like to the prior game, but you don't know where the final boss is. And as you'll notice, you're still missing a hand ability, the auto build I mentioned earlier. It's obtained later during another quest. The game is still open-ended like Breath of the Wild, but tries restricting things somewhat like a normal Zelda game in all the right ways. See a shrine you cannot complete yet? Don't worry, it's now marked on your map so you can fast travel to it later if you get the right ability or resources. See a random in-world puzzle you can't seem to figure it out? Continue down the main story quest to get the right power. Get bored of the main quest? There's plenty of side quests and exploring to do in this game. In fact, a nice little quote from Gene Park, "This game is about twice the size of Breath of the Wild," if that gives you any idea. But with all this praise, there is one thing I don't like, and that's the performance. It will often change resolutions frequently while standing there, and at times the game will drop down in frame rate around 20 FPS, when a lot is going on the screen. and I highly recommend going to check Digital Foundry's review for more of that. The level of detail will look abhorrent at times in the distance, and the art style, while beautiful, just cannot hide it on bigger TVs, especially 60 inches. The game does, to its credit, run smooth a good chunk of time though, given these issues and optimizations? Is that what it's called? Anyway, it's worth mentioning at least. Hey, all I'm saying is Nintendo needs to come out with a more powerful Switch, or a successor that can run all the Switch catalog games but utilize its hardware so it doesn't underperform. These issues are more of the Switch console itself and not the game. Honestly, I'd rather emulate this if I'm just being honest with you, but it wouldn't be a Nintendo Switch review if I did that, now would it? Honestly, this game feels like a proper sequel, and it also feels like a greatest hit of sorts due to all the new lore and returning enemies and such from previous games. The bigger, more expanded world and mechanics. I can see why this game took 6 years to make. It improves upon, reworks, and overhauls many aspects that make this game truly its own game, and yeah, I'd say it was worth the wait for sure. And I can also say them reusing the map a third time and basically fled Hyrule and go, hey look, we made an ocean, a new Zelda game and world, and have it Hyrule underneath the ocean like Wind Waker, but that's just getting into theory territory for another time. So I'm Bio, and I'm signing off. Hope you enjoyed.